the Thompsons, they think they're so mafioso in Ontario. So then they know this probation officer they try to throw her at me. But it's like they throw the most handicapped probation officer at me. It was so then they send this handicapped probation at me. I mean, I haven't seen anyone else more handicapped than Judith Esposito. I mean, she couldn't shoot a target. I mean, if it was directly in front of her, I mean, she looks like worse than this. I mean, her bone complexion, I mean, her arms when she wears that short. I mean, who in the right mind, I mean, would think that lady would be able to defeat Thomas Perron-Slote? I mean, you would just have to be insane, like this guy on his wheelchair doing a backflip. Or look at this guy. She doesn't have the money for technology like this. But here's the yeah, it's like, geez Louise. And I think she's faking it. They're faking it. They're big time fakers too. And I was always so darn legitimate with my ailments, I didn't even know about those folks until I was 25 years old. I hadn't ever dealt with. And, if that guy's supposed to be the boss of all bosses, and that guy's supposed to be like, then I know who the hell I am already. And, dude, you better start picking out your casket. Because like a boss, it's like, dude, like I know how much it costs to kill somebody or whatever. It costs like 5,000 to actually do it. It's like it's that easy. It's like, but just leave me alone. Like I don't want no problems, but that's how much it costs in these streets. If you're talking the street shit to a kid, because I thought I was just wearing some like geeky plastic glasses that help me see or whatever. And then when I started to see or whatever, it was like, oh, you had some mafia thing going on against me. It's like, okay. But guess what? I found out you're broke and don't got no money and eat horse shit for breakfast and blah 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 and all that. But that's the thing. You're not mafia. You're a fucking hillbilly because it's like now you're not even talking about agriculture and you need to go till your field again and you need to go plant your seeds. And aren't you getting hungry? I mean, like you don't even got food like I got and I know it. Or like you don't even have a grocery store. You don't have restaurants. I know that hometown pizza is going to start to hit your arteries and your colons and all that soon because it's all you have to eat. And then that, yeah, but you think it's like that, but it's not because that would be an illegal move or whatever. So then I'll have the law enforcement and the military on it or whatever. So have fun starving. You're fired. And I hope you enjoyed Donald Trump, my great uncle or whatever the hell he is, because that's what position you were from the get-go. You watched us, you ate our food, we moved, you were the one, everything that we did, you emulated. You were the emulation, we are the real software, whatever. You got accidentally given some stuff or whatever in your emulation and whatnot. He's looking old. Well, it became an emulation because he didn't wear proper eye protection when he was having his social experiment or his science experiment. When you're going to do a science experiment or anything like that, bud, you're supposed to wear your eye protection. Phil, that's the thing. I was so lucky I got to go to all these different schools from the United States all the way to out west Calgary. And one thing we learned in science class was if you're going to do anything scientific, and if you're talking mafia, if you're dealing with the anatomy or, things can get messy. I mean, and if you're well experienced, you know that your eyeballs are very vulnerable and whatnot. So, hey, wasn't that showcased right there? Because all it takes is you to get hit one time, and then you're done. As you've seen, how that Caspasen has wore him away. I'm very glad to see it. The Caspasen is fucking. It doesn't look as bad as it should have been. It should have been worse, but at least it did something to that Phil. As you can see in my other video, there's a picture of Phil now. He's looking old as a fucking dog. Look at this dog. Holy hell, this is what Phil's gonna look like. I swear to God, with the tongue stuck out where it's stuck in the teeth or whatever, and it's all the way out. And then everybody's gonna play with his little tongue when his eyes have finally deteriorated and whatnot. This is like my neighbor Danita right here. Like she would get along with this dog big time. This if I had the money, I would buy her like a brand new puppy, like one of these ones, these like hairless freaking things with hairless things with the big thing. There's nothing wrong with a old dog though. You know, they have their certain characteristic, you know, when they get like real bad, like I think Phil and his family were a little bit like this, especially his wife. But then well, yeah. This is the guy from the store down. I used to go buy like all types of stuff from his convenience store. Here's Andrew Thompson when he gets older. He looks a lot like this one. This one's like Cam's girlfriend. She kind of is coping with things. She's not too beat up or anything. Like she looked the healthiest. She looked like she was the healthiest one in the middle. You know what she looked like? She looked like a plant producing fruit. Sorry. Yeah, they looked like they were the plant and she was the fruit on that picture. So I see who they are now. You know, I better watch my words because they are coming up when it comes to their family photos. But you know, if they want to be in that family photo game, you know, that's the kind of game that Tom's in, you know. It's like the monetization of the videos of you and the pictures and all that. And it's like, man, I don't know. Actually, it ended up working out good because some days I say, sometimes it's some really good stuff to say. But Phil reminds me a lot of these grapes. I think he drank a lot of these. See, because Phil told me that well, I don't know how the hell I learned it, but supposedly he had some sort of drinking problem. But that's all a male excuse. I mean, I see the strategy with it now. I mean, he sort of said it, but he wasn't. I don't know. I got kind of tricked by it, but I didn't at the same time. It was a good learning lesson. You know, he used to drink and then he stopped drinking or whatever. He didn't go on about it. I sort of just kept going on about it because there was a lot to learn about that Phil. You know, but I think one thing for Phil to learn, and I think he has because his Kijiji ad isn't up anymore, is it's not very. I never thought it was very smart to bring somebody to your house, but I know who I am specifically. Like I'm a pretty good person. It was a pretty good connection or whatever to have me go to the house. But I would not have many people go to the house. I would meet them at the coffee shop and then 5 months later or something, or a year later, it's like, hey, you know your landlord that you met at the coffee shop or Boomers or something like that? He owns that big gigantic mansion over there that you've never been inside before. You don't know any fucking turnarounds in it. But Phil, see, for being the character that he was trying to be, it's like, dude, he's an idiot for inviting people in his home or whatever to a certain degree. But that Phil, he does it for a reason because he usually just squashes all the tomatoes and makes tomato sauce. I mean, but that's the thing. Oh, for me, it was a big tomato sauce time at the time. I remember when I made the spaghetti sauce and the spaghetti, and I think it was for a lot of people at the time. It was a big spaghetti time at the time. Same with cheese. I hadn't had much spaghetti. I hadn't had much cheese. Like I had spaghetti and I had cheese, but I wanted to start making like good meals. Like this one was a classic that Tom got to like somehow sample along the way. That Tom wanted to make and all that and shit. And then I made one spaghetti dinner and all that, but it was like the thing is like people smelled the spaghetti dinner and then I got to know sort of well there's sometimes when you're sort of born in your position you don't understand it but you start to understand that there's all different places for people and I started to find my fit. It was like I was going for that luxury apartment and it was an affordable price, but it wasn't. At the same time, it wasn't because I couldn't even sit down and enjoy my spaghetti dinner. Um, like spaghetti dinner is a thing. Like you don't mind if somebody compliments on it, and I didn't mind it, and it was a good compliment. But you know what I mean. Like when you sit down to have a nice dinner and all that after like people can it's hard to explain. The one time it got complimented on it was good, but everybody knows. I mean, imagine every single night or whatever. But that's the thing. I shouldn't be eating every single night. But it's more of a family thing. And Tom, he wasn't very much of like I had a lot of work to do with my tattoos. I wasn't at that period of time where, and they knew that, where it was a time to be family. And I don't think they were either to all sit down at the dinner table. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Maybe in heaven. And you have your last supper or what have you, you know. But yeah, I never sat down with Phil and ever had anything to eat with him. Actually, I'd be lying. One time I never because my tattoos, they needed fixed. I understand Phil's perspective because I have the same perspective. My tattoos, it's not that Phil didn't like tattoos, it's not that he didn't like my tattoos. It's just that he knew that I needed my tattoos fixed because guess what? Under the tattoos, I was related to Phil, and that's why Phil would be why Phil seen me like that in the beginning. He looks way different now or whatever. It's fucking went all crazy, but that's what Phil thought, sort of, and that's why Phil never invited me to dinner and all that. Because if I was the guy with all the tattoos and yada yada, I'm sure we would have sat down and I would have bought dinner. Okay, I would have paid for the dinner. Phil's already paid for so much. I mean, he's the gosh dang property owner. He's the guy that supplied the wood and the building and all that. I mean, it was the least you could do for him would be to offer him dinner. But Phil and the family knows they knew Tom. They knew they treated me like family, like my auntie and uncle, and they moved me along. And hey, it's been nothing but positivity that's came out of it. And I've gotten more. I look a lot better than I do. I mean, I got some weight to lose, but when it comes to my general look or whatever, it's getting better. Like the tattoo needs some fixes, but I look a lot. I'm doing a lot better. And then I got this new unit, more fit for me. I didn't know how handicapped I was. Now I know. Like I always had this theory, like, hey, I'm pretty handicapped. I'm gonna need one of those handicapped apartments. And as I got older, and this was Phil was one of the people that I got to meet because he was a real family man. And every man, especially every man, I say, but I was born as a man that wanted to do that and be a family and all that. But unfortunately, I had this, I would say, a handicap right now where I didn't understand how to be a man. Like the caring that you have to do, the talking you have to do, the planning, the strategies, the saving. There's a lot of stuff, but that's what I learned. The reality. And that's but I know it's not just them, but yeah, I'm very proud of a lot of my friends. They have children just like this and they look just like that. They did it the way that everybody wishes they could have, and they're amazing. But they had a great foundation. Their fathers must have taught them a lot, okay? Like my friend Jerica, I never got to talk to her father much, but I heard about him. But that father, I mean, because I remember hearing Jerica talk like her father one time. Like that woman knew what she wanted or whatever. As a woman, she knew she knew what she wanted to make what she wanted. It's hard to explain, but that took me a while to understand that, and that can cause aggression with some men, not understanding the female perspective. When did I start to really understand the female perspective? It took me a long time. It's always started with the sexual thing at first, but it's not about the sexual thing. That was my disability. It's actually the complete opposite. The sexual thing is like sort of at the very last anything, and it's more about the person as they're in their head, like as a fellow man. And I didn't understand that it's like a fellow man thing. Oh, you're supposed to tell the woman. Oh, but here's the thing. My dad was an abusive father. I see that. Unfortunately, that didn't work for me, or else I would have told them like, "Hey, me and my dad are pretty wealthy in the United States of America. We have two homes. One home's just sitting there while people are dying and yada yada." But my dad was just like this all the time at me, yelling and screaming. And we had all this money, and for what? As people died around us, as women got taken advantage of, because my dad would abuse me at home, I couldn't be a proper man and bring a woman home for me. My dad had a woman, and I'm a fellow man, and then so I deserve a woman, and that's how it is in America. But my dad was never one of those American men. He was gay a little bit. He made me sort of appear gay. He was very alcoholic, aggressive. He would shoot his gun for no reason, but when it became time that he would actually have to shoot his gun legally, he wouldn't be there to shoot it. He was just off completely, complete drunk. The most important thing in his life was a 24 pack of natural ice in the fridge and his sex thing or something, his cigarettes. Pack of cigarettes, and that's what they all say. They didn't think the time was going to go so fast. Pack of cigarettes and a 24 pack of natural ice or Coors Light, and that was every day. Every single freaking day, and that's all he liked to do. He would sit there and smoke cigarettes on me, and that's now I learned about that whole smoking on you thing. So that's what you were doing, Dad, just smoking on us. Like we hear with the rappers, they sit there and they smoke on people, blow the smoke on them, make them smell dirty, because they're getting one off on them and shit like that. So that's what those ones are doing. Oh my God, I remember when I used to smoke a spliff like that. It's came a long way. It's like I was never that goddamn, but I remember a joint that looked sort of like that. But listen, yeah, yeah, those are elders because that's what we're trained to call them is our elders. I've went to church. I've went to more than church. I've went to several denominations, and we've heard the term denominations before. Bill Clinton used to use the term denominations a lot. Same with the John F. Kennedy, and they just wanted you to understand, like, everybody has similar values, like Baptist, Christian, whatever. They're all different denominations, but they're of the similar religion. It's the same religion. Actually, Christians are, it all comes back to the same thing you're supposed to learn. I think every kid or whatever starts out with like Christianity and all that because you learn about the son and the daughters and all that. That's what Christianity is. It's about Jesus Christ or whatever. Some people, it takes them their whole life to learn the story of just Jesus Christ. It took me a while to understand that too. Okay, to understand the book of the Bible and understand that there's all these different stories and that Jesus Christ is just one character in all that or whatever. Because for a while I thought that was the whole story of Christianity, but that's what Christianity is. It's like the story of Jesus. And then you can move on from Jesus Christ and you can move more. And they do that even in the Christian churches, even though it's all about Jesus and he's there and praising and hey, I love hanging out with Jesus. That's what Christianity. You go to the Christian church and you can hang out with Jesus and God too. God will be there too. Because that's what it feels like in a Christian church. Because I've hung out with Jesus. And there's all different ways that you can do that or send praise to the Lord and Savior, and then all the sons before them and whatnot. And it's like you learn about the crucifixions and whatnot. You learn about criminality. You learn about sexuality. You learn about working, craftsmanship. You learn about symbolism, weddings, baptisms, worshiping, the music, and you learn a lot about stuff. Even you learn recounts of different stories in the Bible, like John 3:16, I think is the most famous one. And that's the recount of John, and whatnot. It's on the third page in the 16th verse and whatnot, and all that. And it's like, or something like that, yada yada. And you learn about that in Christianity. You learn about all these. Well, that's what I learned in Christianity. We learned a lot about the different disciples. In the other term, something that my name is Thomas. I was starts with the letter apostle. So you learn about the apostles, and you learn about the disciples, and all that of the story of life, the world, not just Jesus, because that gets gay, and that's why some people and some men fail to persevere in life with their successes of olive oil and grain and whatever the hell they wanted, because they get stuck on Jesus, and then they like to argue and sit there and say, oh, it's all something about Jesus, but it's not. We're talking about the apostles. Yeah, the apostles. Thomas. I said my name was Thomas, and so was the apostle. Doubting Thomas. We don't have to learn about Thomas. Then there's women too, and these are great accounts of stories of humanity that you can learn from as a well, all the way through and through as you're alive. There's things to learn if you're into studying different sort of methods to becoming holy, to becoming sort of the most high. It's sort of having everything that you desire. It's all right there to be able to follow. It's not a learning. What is a learning too? You can learn too. Learning is like sort of a thing where you're not in the mood to follow really, or you're not in the mood to advance. You're sort of just sit there. It's almost like yearning for it. You're learning though. It means that your yearning is like not like yearning. It means you're wanting something really bad. Learning means that you are like trying to educate yourself for the purpose of performing something that's going to get what you need to get, such as housing, food, all the stuff that everybody wanted in life. And one thing I learned in life was, well, I always say it, there's so much stuff to learn. Then I started to learn that other people, I always knew that other people were going to be learning too, but I always was so selfish to think I was the most vicious guy and yada yada. But no, no, no. There's way far viciouser. There's way smarter. Some people studied and learned the things that you thought were bad things, and they did those things. So, like when I was learning as a kid, I of course I heard stories about how you can do crime and all that to get money and all that. But I said, "Oh no, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm learning this other thing that's going to be able to make me money and all that legally and all that and all that." So right away, right away learning you're going to be yearning, but in the end you never committed a crime that under the law is illegal, so it's hard to explain. It's all about moderation. All together with everything. Moderation. Everybody is told like a white lie and whatnot. Everything in moderation, even when it comes to that stuff. It's like everybody, you can't be too bad and you can't be too good. Because bad and good is a thing in our world, and it's a thing that everybody experiences. It's an emotion. You have evil. You have all the way since we were younger. We watched we watched like TV shows and cartoons and all that to teach us about evil and all that. Some people they have the choice to be evil or you could be good and all that. But when you want to be alive for a long time, you start to realize like it's sort of a gimmick. You kind of gotta be good actually with a tiny bit of evil. It's like it's they at first you think it's going to be completely equal because you're allowed to be a little bit evil if you're in that mood, I guess, or what have you. But even to look at this photo is pretty evil. I feel evil looking at this photo. You're communicating with these demons. I never understood that before. What it basically means is everybody that was born with a mind or whatever has these communication personality changes. So if I sit there and look at something evil like that, it infests my personality, my mind, everything about me. Could hurt me and hurt everybody around me. Whereas the good will do the complete opposite, but here's the thing. You have to know when to be either side. But generally you're supposed to be this good side. And the evil side, the devil was always supposed to be used to punish somebody that was actually really, 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 really bad. And it goes down to being a man and that one Crumpness and all that. And it's like, yeah, as a man, you are God to a lot of people if you're that strong of a man. Every little action that you take can influence our children and our weaker ones and all that. You're like literally the powerful one and whatnot. No, I'm not. There's other ones. There's a lot of powerful men. Some of them don't realize how powerful they are and they should have just moved on with their own life a long time ago and everything's going to be fine. But that's what causes it every single time. And that's why we're saying you're being like one of these people. And if you can catch somebody looking, and I didn't know this, but if you can catch somebody looking like this and all that, the act and all that, okay, then it's not good legally for them. So that's how that Christian law works. Because law is either two things. It's, well, you have a lot, but here's the thing: no matter what religion the law is under, they're all pretty similar because it's all the same God. Ha ha! That's the funny thing about God. He's so powerful. He can speak all these different languages. He can speak he can write in all these different texts. He can produce all these different images through people all around, well, bigger than all around the world. Just the world is a vast perspective. You have Christian law, you got Islamic Muslim law, you got Hindu law, you have Punjabi law, and you have all different law, right? And you even have just race laws, all different law and all that. They did. I never really, because I grew up sort of in the United States and Canada. Equality was a big thing, and I didn't mind it. But I never, I've seen this diagram before, but I never really got into it too much until I started getting hit by um other races that I never, ever, ever, ever had an issue with. But I didn't get it until I got older. When I was young, I just stayed in the house, didn't really look at anything to do with race. But now that I'm older, I realize, like, oh my gosh, there's like all this race law, different ethics with each race, different politics, different opinions, different attitudes. It's like you talk a certain way, but that's how I always was. But I didn't get it until now. I'm older now, and I really am starting to like really identify, like, wow, you know, because I've been hitting off guard a couple times by some people of other races that, see, the thing is, okay, it's constant until the time that, listen, at the end of the day, if somebody's just going on and on and on and on and on, they're probably just trying to harass you and waste your time. But what I was going to say is, it's a constant fluctuation of emotion throughout the different people. I mean, I can say right now, like I was going to talk about sexuality, like, hey, I don't mind black guys. And then you see the woman, and one of her internal opinions may be like, hey, this is my um, male guy that I'm talking to. And there's also a stereotype when it comes to tattoos. I mean, some of them have it. I mean, the way I look, you might not think I talk like this, but hey, legally under law, that's discrimination. So may I mind you that I'm making a perfectly valid argument. If you had never seen what I look like, then you would be in full agreement, quite possibly, because some woman would say, that's my boyfriend. But I said, that's the male that she's talking to. That's the African American male. If you're going to say African American, I didn't say African American. I had just said that's the male that she was talking to. But some people might see me, and it's happened before, and they don't understand that. Well, I know that's the male you're talking to, and they think that I'm going for their male or whatever. And that's not the case or whatever. But that's a stereotype, and because I'm the person I am, and it generally doesn't affect me. It usually affects the person that is stereotyping. It always affects them big time because, and then I understand it takes some time. I consider those people sort of outlandish because I grew up an Amish kid with like with not much technology and not much money of my own. No money of my own, no cash to spend my own. So I understand that perspective too when you don't have any financial freedom and you haven't gotten around or whatever. But at the same time, it's time for me to sit down. I mean, look at how gruntled I look in this one. My glasses need to change my glasses. I got some brand new ones. They're in my backpack. I better start putting them on now. There's Kim. People, he was a big guy, and he made it. A lot of big guys made it, persevered. When they try to get you and they do it to you psychologically all the way until your adulthood because they know what they're doing. It's not a thing sometimes where they don't know what they're doing. They tried to do it in school to you, try to pick on you and bully you in school to make you feel like you were less than them. And then what they do when you're older, they try to put you in that perspective of, and believe it or not, you know who does it to people once you get out of school, who keeps that mentality of like bullying and picking on kids and all that, is some of these guys. Okay, especially the ones, some of them in Canada, in Toronto and Brampton. They got all they think about is their school, and they forgot that there's like normal community people out there, and then they're just like aiming their guns at them and being mean to them and causing all, and then they get relieved of their duty, and they're wondering, how come I'm getting relieved of my duty and all that? Well, because you didn't get it. Not that you were a bad person, but you weren't experienced enough, sorry, to be a police officer. You're not supposed to be discriminative, because if it comes back discriminative, you just wasted like big money. People are dying over $10. So police think they got unlimited money, and that's what happened with like the government and why they shut down. They thought they were going to be like this super powerful discriminative thing, and then all their money ran out, and they're like, we can't even. Yeah, and then they came back to beg the people. When the debt ceiling, they started to talk to their multi-millionaires and their billionaires, and because I know the millionaires. So then the government's like, hey, we were corrupt yesterday, so let's start getting deals, starting to talk deals again. Like, listen, this is the forecast I got out of this Mark. Mark's not that high up comparative to me because they kicked me off Instagram, but then the other day I hear them all the time sweltering in this real world because what they did. So that shows me how weak they are. They're like a MySpace. It's not going to last 500 years. We all thought it was going to be like that, but it isn't. It's just some temporary. What it reminds me of now? There used to be that big phase when I was a kid, the Polaroid camera phase. Everybody thought we were so technological, like we had did it. We made this Instagram. It was nothing like Polaroid cameras. You actually saved it on these like millions of dollars for these hard drives. Like they invent their IPO. We thought that their hard drives were going to be good forever. People were investing millions. We thought that our photos were going to be up for sure our whole entire lives. No, they take everyone down. They let you stay up for maybe 6 years at most, and then they take you down. So it's like a Polaroid camera phase, everyone. You go on there, you're a big Instagrammer, and then they have those same old people that everybody's sick of anyway. And they think that everybody has, yeah. So they think they're doing this like rerun on Instagram to people with like Drake and shit. And everybody's like, dude, we hate that Drake guy. Get him the fuck out of here. We're tired of him. Where's that StacksAMilli guy that came up on Instagram? Oh, it's a fake investment platform. And there you go. You lost your investment platform. Everyone thought it was a big investment platform. No, and then they all figured out, and now, thank God, everybody is back to work. Factory, and they're doing what they were supposed to be doing. And then maybe while you're working at the factory, somebody like me will come around and take a photo or a video of you, and that was you working, and that was and that was your photo or your video. If you're thinking about photos and videos. For a positive photo and video, because not all videos are positive. Some are like, I can't believe that they exist. I always say that. And the government knows I say that all the time. Like, sometimes I say derogatory things like, I can't believe this exists and all that. But my job is always what I produce, the content that I produce is like normal life. So I realize that now, certain places in the world, it's for certain things. I live in Canada because I want to be like I'm a positive content producer. But if you want to go do war movies, then they got a big war out in the Ukraine right now. You can go out there and shoot your movie if you want to shoot one. You know, that's what it is. It's real life. I mean, if a nuclear bomb gets dropped and shit, we're all dead. So, uh, you know what I mean? Like whether they're fucking just in the Ukraine or not, and we're doing positive videos over here, it's like anywhere on Earth they're talking about dropping nukes or nukes going out and all that, and then you get what I'm saying? So, but I think there is this God, you know. That's the theory I've been hitting recently. That there is this God, this other thing, person, being. I don't know what it is. It's a spirit. It's like a systematic. It feels like a computer system, kind of like the Matrix. Is what has got everything moving in the world. Is I mean, I can't stand the microscopic perspective anymore. You know, when you're thinking about us being in space, but that's what it is, and that's humanity. And then if you can't think about that anymore, our place in humanity, you're sort of like off duty. You're sort of not working as a man because that's sort of our job. We're like these space alien creatures that live on Earth to study it or to take pictures of it or to learn, to increase our humanity, to or to explore. A lot of us are explorers and all that. A lot of explorers. I was more of an explorer like this guy. Like when I would explore, there would be like photos to come with it and all that. But even when I'm exploring, I've kind of looked like this guy because, hey, it gets bad exploring. But here's the thing, whenever I do get inside to my house, he's looking a lot like this guy. I mean, go look at all my photos. Something like that guy they're saying I might end up like. Yeah, some of my big meals or whatever, those are just, that's like nothing. That ain't nothing. Wait till I start going out for my formals and all that. Yep, I have it planned. I will be going out for formal dinners. I plan on getting married and having kids and everything here in Canada. I'm 28 years old. I think all that will be achieved by the time I'm 38 years old. You know, there's this other guy that thinks he's 38 years old, and I tell him, like, you are no 38-year-old man, you know. But that's, yeah, that's my life here in Canada, and have fun watching it.